Hello and welcome to Morris Park. I'm Clyde Morris, and today I'm going to show you a variation or kind of a hybrid of a heater. Half of what I've seen online here on YouTube using terracotta pots, and the other half is a trick I've been using last few years when it gets really cold in here. Most of the time I can control the heat in here and not have too much problem, but when it comes to January and February, sometimes we can get some really bad weather, especially if we get any of these polar vortexes and such. We can drop our temperature down to below 0 Fahrenheit, which makes it more of a fight to take care of the greenhouse. So sometimes a little supplemental heat is needed. Now, what I did in the past was taking used coals from my wood stove, the hot wood coals from my wood stove, shovel them out, put them in this bucket, and then place them here in the greenhouse on my concrete floor. Now I'm going to say something right now. This is not for anybody who has a greenhouse with a mulch floor, with a wood floor, or any kind of floor that might catch fire in any way. Concrete floor, stone, gravel is fine. And make sure that everything around where you're going to put your bucket heater is not able to catch fire. Now, before, this was actually a lot less safe when I used just the bucket before, and this would just be filled with hot coals, and I would set it strategically in the floor here in this concrete floor. This time, what I'm going to do is put a cover over it basically, but a cover that will be radiating heat, and that'll be in the form of these terracotta pots, and I'll show you what we're going to do here. Now, first of all, will be to shovel some of the hot coals out of the stove and put it into this bucket, and then we're going to go from there. And I won't bore you with actually shoveling them into the bucket, but I'll have them in here and I'll show you what's going on. Now, we've got our bucket of hot coals here, as you can see, red hot, and what we're going to need to do is suspend these pots from the top. And what I'm going to use is this wire cage. Now, I've made this wire cage so it just fits the top of this larger pot. We'll go ahead, and you might want to use gloves while doing this. This is kind of hot, of course. So I'm going to shut the camera off a second, so I have both hands to do this and push this. What this is a piece of fencing, piece of wire fencing, and I've looped it around and then joined it by making these hooks. I'm going to push this down into these coals to suspend this top part. Okay, now, as you see, I got this wire fencing here, right there, and what we're going to do is place this largest pot right over this. Make sure that's tight down in there. Then, what we're going to do, what the deal is on this, one, it kind of keeps the coals from popping and sending a lot of sparks out the top. So you have like a shade over that, while also giving it plenty of airspace to bring the heat up through here. But you want to kind of slow this heat, because what we're trying to do is heat the outside of this terracotta pot. So, we'll add another one, top of the hat with a little smaller hole. Then we'll add another one. You can see here. And then this smallest one just as a cap. Now this is going to slow the draw on these coals down here, which will make them burn a little bit slower. And what's going to happen here is all these terracotta pots are going to heat up, and with the airflow coming from my shop, there's a fan blowing through. It'll actually heat this area up a little bit better and keep a lot of these plants warmer. And you can actually put some of your plants around it that are more important and a little more risk of freezing. Now, something I will say about this, you don't want to spend the night with this thing in the greenhouse. This does put off carbon emissions. You want to be out of the greenhouse after you set this up and get this done like this. and be out of the greenhouse. Don't spend too much time in here with it. Now, by morning time, when this thing starts to cool down by morning, your air will be more filtered out, because my wood stove, the way it works, blows heat in, and it has a cold air draw that pushes through. This will also take the other air with it from the greenhouse and such and cycle it. But I would stay out of the enclosed area while you have this going. Do not spend time in the greenhouse while you're doing things with this going. This is for the middle of the night, early hours of the morning, when it's getting really, really cold. It's dropping below zero, and you want that extra bit of heat. Set this up, and then get out of the greenhouse. And this will help warm things and keep your plants from dying and freezing. Now already I can feel this starting to heat up. Bottom one especially. The bottom one, you can't hardly touch it. And it's going to radiate up through here and all the way to the top here. As I say, you're working with hot coals, so this can be dangerous. Do not use this on a combustible floor or in an area where this could be combustible. But as you see, with the cage in there and with these pots over that larger opening, a lot less chance of sparks or anything like that popping out like it was before as just an open bucket. And this cone here made of these pots will radiate heat and keep a bunch of this a little bit warmer. And that's how that's done. A Terracotta bucket heater to help keep those plants just a little bit extra warm. Now before I go here, I'm going to show you a couple things I acquired just recently for a bargain price. First off is this aloe. I bought this at a Lowe's just recently. And you know, it's funny, this is the first succulent cactus I've bought that has one of these fancy pots that it's set down into, because of course it's not planted into this, it's in a plastic pot, as you can see. Actually has a hole in it. It actually gave me a pot that has a hole in it, unlike many others, so it's actually fairly useful. But this was only $8. They had it on clearance. $8. Real nice aloe. I do not know the variety because of the fact that they don't mark these, of course. Now the other one I got was this little Monstrosarius. And they'd have these at our Family Center Farm and Home store. And I remember buying a Mammillaria elongata there that was really nice. This one right here. Really nice. And they were like $10. Well, I went back recently after getting my generator repaired and all. And I wanted to check out to see if they had any of these left. And I found this little Monstrosarius, and they had these shoved way back on a shelf up top, and it said make an offer. And it was still in pretty good shape, actually. Pretty nice. $2.50. So a couple of good little bargains I got there. Pretty nice. Anyhow, I just wanted to show how I make my supplemental bucket terracotta heater to help heat my greenhouse on the coldest nights. Yeah, I'm already feeling getting hot. This is Clyde Morris from Morris Park. Hope you have a good evening. Remember my precautions on this heater if you ever use something like this and you have a wood stove. Y'all have a good night. Take care.